What's good, everybody? It's your boy Kowalski, your number one therapist in the good old state of Mississippi, and I would like to personally welcome you guys to the first episode of The Static. Let's get into it. So here on The Static, we're going to talk about issues that affect the Black community, especially Black men, because we don't have enough safe spaces to talk about these things. On top of mental health awareness, I do want to bring awareness to just general well-being and being able to talk about any concern or issue that you guys may be having that you would like for me to feature on the show. So if you have an idea, something that you want to talk about, please like, share, comment, drop me a line, and I'll be sure to try to add it to our list of things that we're going to discuss this season. So first up, topic 1, why do Black men avoid therapy or treatment or counseling or what have you? Why do we avoid that? I did a lot of research, read a lot of articles, looked into a lot of studies, and when it comes down to understanding why Black men don't really like to go to therapy, refuse to seek mental health treatment, 3 things popped up. But out of the 3 things that I found, I want to talk about the first one and give time for us to discuss the first one, and that's this idea of preservation of masculinity. What does it mean to be a man in our society? Well, things that popped up inside of my research were that most Black men thought, if I seek therapy, I'm going to be perceived as weak. We understand that the intersection of Black masculinity in this society means that I have to be strong at all times for my wife, for my family, for my kids, whatever the case may be. Even if it's at the jeopardy of my own well-being, I have to be strong. And we all know that could take a toll on our mental well-being. Like, I'm strong, but I can't be strong all the time. I need somebody to help me through this. So with that being said, what does it mean to be called weak just because you seek mental health care or because you want to talk about some issues and concerns that are of note to you? When we compare this to other avenues of life, we don't find that same disproportionate view of things. So if my car breaks down and it's beyond my scope to handle, I'm perfectly okay with taking that to a mechanic. If my physical body gets sick and it's something that over-the-counter medication can't handle, then I'm okay with seeking medical help for that, because I realize that there is a shortcoming between my knowledge and my proficiency to handle the issue. But when we look at things on the mental health side, that doesn't always seem to be the case. Second, most Black men don't want to be judged. I'm in here telling this man about my problems, but if I tell him this, he gonna think this. And he gonna judge me because he don't really understand what I'm going through. I'm gonna keep that to myself. There's no way anybody can understand what I'm going through. So yeah, I'll be all right. I'm good. So even if they make it past the mindset of, oh, I'm weak if I seek therapy, once they get into the therapy session, most Black men believe that, oh, my therapist is gonna judge me. They're gonna say that either one, this issue could have been resolved, man, what are you doing? Snap out of it, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Or the other extreme is, oh, you're so bad down the road that you require medication or hospitalization. I get that. I understand where you're coming from and thinking that if I talk to this person about what's really going on for me, then not only would my therapist think that I'm weak or the society would think that I'm weak, but they're going to judge me because of what I've gone through. It's one of the things that keeps most Black men out of my office. And I would love to talk to you about some of the things that's going on for you. The last thing that I came upon in my research and my studies of this phenomenon, why Black men don't seek treatment, was that most Black men don't even believe mental health is a real issue. That's not real. It's all in your mind. It's all made up. I understand that sentiment, and sometimes our thoughts and our belief systems can play tricks on us, but that's even more reason to go to a professional to talk about what patterns you have that are tripping you up. What are some things that you believe to be true that aren't necessarily true, but you've fallen into what we call a confirmation bias. And I'll leave that there because I want to know, where do you stand on that issue? Do you believe mental health issues like anxiety and depression are real and that people are suffering from these? Or do you submit to the school that it's not really real, that's just your mind? And if so, what ways have you personally got out of symptoms of anxiety or symptoms of depression? Being able to share what helped you may be the key that somebody else needs to turn this whole thing around. It takes bravery to be vulnerable, and it's no different for a therapy session. To all of my professionals out there, I hope you're listening. I hope you're understanding and getting the first-hand seat of what it's like to sit in front of a person of color and really understand, really empathize with how tough it was to make that decision. Even though I'm a Black man in mental health, it has become second nature for me. That's not the case for a lot of people and a lot of men that sit across from me in those chairs, and they are telling me their stories. And that whole time, there's a fear of being judged. We're listening, and we want to listen. That's what we're here for. Just because you find yourself in this situation doesn't mean that you have to stay there by yourself. And so inside of all of this, I want you guys to be free to talk about what your journey was. As always, this is not a confidential space, but it is a safe space. I want to thank you guys for watching my show. I want to thank you guys for liking, sharing, commenting. Tell your friends, tell your family to check me out. We're going to be talking about some great things throughout this season. Episode 1, part 2 will be about the other 2 things that I found out, which are mistrust of the system itself and the inability to afford services. We'll talk about how those impact treatment-seeking behavior among Black men. As always, much love, and let's get through the static. Peace.
Welcome back.